Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to bring you a special edition of News You Can Use. My name is Carol Muleta. I am the parenting strategist and consultant and creator of the Parenting 411. I specialize in helping parents rediscover the joy in their journey with a fresh approach to discipline and connection so that they feel confident being parents, they can enjoy being parents, and are equipped to guide their children to reaching their full potential. This is our Thursday evening series called News You Can Use. That is an expression that I use often when I'm talking to parents and even when I engage with my own children. And what it means is that it's information you can use to make good decisions. And that occurred to me because I think that children and certainly even teens often feel like we parents are in control of everything that happens to them. And I want them to understand that they have a lot more to say about what happens and the consequences that arise in their lives than they may realize. And so I talk about that in my 5 crucial C model for discipline. I'm not going to talk about that in its entirety tonight. I'll touch on some concepts, but really what I want to talk about is raising courageous kids, because I think that there are a lot of skills and a lot of tools that you can have to help you meet life's challenges, but courage really is the start. So first of all, by way of introduction, for some of you who may not follow News You Can Use regularly, I want to share a little bit more about myself. And so I'm often asked how I got started and why I'm so passionate about working with parents. And so I feel like I have to start with my story. I am the mom of now young adult twin sons. And so 21 years ago, I took leave from work right after they were born. And little did I know that a few months after they were born, that I would decide that I needed to create a whole new career for myself that would allow me to really spend more time with them. And so I started a marketing consulting company while I was still on leave, maternity leave from my job. And a little while after that, toward the end of the year, we discovered that one of my sons had some developmental delays that were going to need some attention. And so I, had already extended my maternal leave once, but this time I just resigned from my position as a marketing manager because I knew there was no way that I was going to feel comfortable having someone else driving my son to appointments as he worked with specialists to help him overcome his challenges. And so I really am so glad that I stayed home because it was the beginning of me learning so much about child development, even human development, but most importantly about what children really need from their parents. And the more parents I work with, the more I know that we have many different ideas about how to reach the same goal. And that is having our children grow up to be well-adjusted and equipped to create fulfilling lives for themselves. It's just that the way I'm wired, I needed to come home and stay with them. So I share my journey in my recent book entitled Mother's Work, Pearls of Wisdom and Gems from My Journey. And I call it a mini motherhood memoir because it describes my experiences and lessons learned as I figured out how to parent my sons. And, I recently learned of a national study of parents which found that they're on a journey that 73% of them say began when they had children. They say their lives literally began when they became parents. And I thought that was really powerful. And honestly, I felt the same way. And so I felt the weight of really a ministry on my life when I became a mom. And so there's a lot of information out there, certainly unsolicited advice from folks who mean well. And so you've got to take what you can use from all of that, but in the end, you've got to create your own path And so in my book, Mother's Work, I wanted to share what I learned on my journey with others so that maybe I could just help flatten the curve on the road just a little bit as they found the way that was going to work for their families. And so the title of the book comes from the manner in which pearls are created. It all starts with agitation that's caused by a grain of sand or some other foreign matter that makes its way into the shell of an oyster, a clam, or a mussel. And so in order to protect itself and its organs, the mollusk coats the intruder with a substance called nacre, and it just does it over and over and over and over again. And that's how pearls are created. And so while we wear pearls, adorn our ears and our necks and our wrists with pearls, these are actually hard-earned items, just like parenting wisdom. And so the ideas that I share come from the experience that I had, and I sum up each chapter with a few conclusions for parents to think about. Now, to learn more about Mother's Work, you can visit carolmuleta.com/motherswork. Now, I'm often asked to speak about courage and resilience in children, and I like to start with the definition of a courageous kid. So when I think of a courageous kid, I think of one who can look at the situation that he's facing or have it explained to him, and he be willing to step up and respond with appropriate action. It doesn't mean that they get everything right, but they're willing to try. And they may experience uncertainty in the new situation, but they're not afraid of failing at the task. So, how can we raise courageous kids? First stop is to give them a voice and give them a choice. Teach them how to perform new tasks. Ask for their ideas. Listen to them. Expose them to new people, different perspectives, and situations that challenge what they already know. Acknowledge their efforts when they succeed and when they fail with specific feedback and not empty accolades like good, wonderful, or, that was terrible. Talk about what you see. Talk about what they've done so that they can begin to own their victories, own their successes for themselves, and also so that they can learn from their mistakes and with specific feedback so that they can take those lessons with them when they encounter the same situation or similar situations in the future. And there are major benefits of being a courageous kid. First of all, they have a track record to rely on as they continuously try new things and learn what it takes to succeed. They are willing to step into new situations. And they're just more open to novel situations and just differences that they encounter. And they also are free to be courageous problem solvers. And of course, on the other hand, there can be some consequences of not being such a courageous kid. And the first major consequence is untapped potential, right? Because they won't step up. They won't try. So those are missed opportunities because, lack of courage is holding them back. And so I recently interviewed children's book author Trevor Romaine, and in his children's book, his latest book, he says nothing can grow in your comfort zone. And I think all of us can agree that that's really true. So here are some ways that I, along with my husband, personally tried to raise courageous kids. So we taught them new things. We also tried to show them how to make choices, taught them how to solve problems. And so the reason that I say that we have to teach them how to make choices is because so often we arrest their development in that area because parents, we're tempted to tell them what to do all the time and tell them what to think, right? Because we figure, when they reach adulthood, that's when they're going to really have to fend for themselves. They're really going to have to think on their feet. But as long as we're around, they don't have to worry about it. They can just lean on us. Now, we certainly don't say that, but very often the way we step in and rescue them and speak for them, honestly, that's what we're doing. So we tried to allow our children to experience the consequences of their actions. And, sometimes these were good outcomes, and other times they were not so good outcomes, but we felt that they were very important lessons that they needed to learn. And so it's very empowering for children to know that they have agency in their lives. And so we also gave our children feedback on their actions, which was also essential. And so, when I think about courage and, how I learned to be a courageous kid, I look to my own mother. She inspires me because she is solid as a rock. I watched her reinvent herself after divorce while I was still fairly young. And, she went back to school to pursue a new career in psychiatric nursing, and she had a very successful career. She was courageous and determined to provide a stable life for her children. And so all she asked us to do was to do well in school and behave, and she would take care of everything else. And that's absolutely what she did. So by now, you can probably tell that I am big on courage. Now, I've seen the value of pouring it into your children because I know, what it did for me. And I've written about a time in my early adult life, right after college, where it seemed like over the course of 3 years, or I should say more like a year and a half, everything that could go wrong did, personally and professionally. And so I worked my way out of it, but I literally had to walk through fire. And so my story, I Am Fireproof, is part of an anthology. It's entitled I Am a Victor. You can grab a copy at carolmuleta.com/I Am a Victor 2021. That's carolmuleta.com/I Am a Victor 2021. Now, in closing, I'd love to leave you with the words of Hal Elrod, who offered this. The moment you take responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you can change anything in your life. It takes courage to take that bold stand. Give your children moments to stretch and grow so that they can discover the courage within. I hope you'll follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at the Parenting 411. And to learn more about what I'm doing with the Parenting 411, visit carolmuleta.com. That's my name, spelled CarolMuleta.com. And have a wonderful evening.